I want to take, before I blabbered here, I know, but I think it's worth it, Val. I want to reach out for like a quick second to Canadian politicians, and mainly Alberta, I guess. But I want to reach out to them personally. I know a lot of them from over the years. Just a quick review, I did indeed vote for Pierre Elliott Trudeau twice. I voted for Pierre Bourassa, who was a Liberal from Quebec, a couple of times. I voted no on 2 Quebec referendums, whether Quebec should be sovereign of Canada. I voted no. By the way, the second referendum, there was real talk of voter fraud in that one. I won't go there today, but anyhow. But because of that, and because of my writing, just publishing over the years, the first political interview I did was being in the press pool for Pierre Elliott Trudeau at Mohawk College visit. So, of all the Canadian politicians I've known over the years, and of all, shapes and sizes and dimensions, as they say, most of them I found are really nice. They're really nice people. They're honorable people. They're forthright people. Likely they all went into politics wanting to make a change. I think politicians in some ways are underrated that way. But the problems that the nice folks have, and I mean it all the way down the line. I think Danielle Smith, she seems like a really nice person. I've seen a lot of them up there, and again, I try desperately not to follow Canadian politics too closely, Val, you know that. But they seem like nice people. The 80-20 rule, where 80% of us agree on life, and there's about 20% that we disagree on. And there you go, and you talk about them, you fix them, you make solutions. And I think there's more Canadian politicians up there, both at the provincial and at the federal level, that are like that. However, the problem is, and whether they've discovered it or not, they are working within the Canadian political framework. And they are working within and under the direct microscope supervision of Ottawa, the Trudeau government, and the federal government as a whole, including the RCMP out west and elsewhere. So no matter how nice and forthright and all this stuff that folks want to be in Alberta, specifically Alberta politicians, if you talk to the old black and white guys like me and the Gordon Kesslers and stuff, I just don't see an answer for anything up there under Confederation. Sorry, I just don't see it. I see the only answer for Albertans, and I'm talking registered voting Albertans. Everybody else is irrelevant to this conversation. Everybody else is either a non-voter or a spectator or maybe a commentator, but they don't vote in Alberta. These are the folks that I am reaching out to, that you're reaching out to, that Mike Phillips is reaching out to, the Gordy Kessler is reaching out to. And those folks, including the politicians, can vote yes in the next referendum, yes. And they will be, honestly, I think it's the only out. They'll at least be under the protection of the United States Constitution and under really the framework of laws that the United States has, good, bad, or indifferent. As far as governments down here, we go through presidents, like a merry-go-round. But it's their way to cut their gas prices in half, to cut their taxes in half, to not have border restrictions, to be able to not go through immigration nonsense, to be able to have their pensions paid and guaranteed lifelong in U.S. funds, on and on. The advantages go on and on. But to Canadian politicians out there, honestly, if I were up there right now, I'd be on board Alberta 51. It's the only answer. It's the only answer. It's easier than people will think. And I don't want to hear I just don't want to hear, I don't have any time for naysayings, especially naysaying from people that don't have any skin in the game. It's easier than you think. The invitation is going to come from the United States side of the border. But Canadian politicians, of every stripe and denomination, I encourage you to look, if anything, look hard at the Alberta 51 option choice. Look hard at that. Educate yourself. You won't believe the benefits for Albertans. And long term, I'm talking 20, 30, 50 years, 100 years down the road. So you folks up there, if you're politicians who are politicians in Alberta, I'm assuming you're allowed to vote in a referendum, so you can vote yes too. You can vote no, or you can stay undecided till that referendum day somehow gets around to coming about. So that's my monologue of the day. That's from the heart, Val. I'm thrilled that really we had this unscheduled, impromptu time once again for you really to share your heart and for me to share my heart. So to all Canadian politicians out there, I love you. You're nice folks. You just need to start weaning yourself off of Ottawa and the rules up there, okay? You need to wean yourself off the rules up there. There you go. Fait accompli, Val.